to Freedom, episode number 69. Hello again, this is Sean Terry from the Flip to Freedom podcast, and we are on episode number 69. Now, if you are listening for the very first time, I'd like to welcome you and let you know that I have designed this podcast to help you gain freedom. Okay, to escape the 9 to 5. There's a lot of people who are listening to this in their car. They're either at the gym, early in the morning, and they have to report to a boss, and they have to report to a job every single day. There are some people I've talked to that have to wake up early, they commute to a job, it's dark in the morning, they go to work all day, they crank it out hard. By the time they get back and they commute home, then guess what? It's dark again, and they don't get to cherish the things that are most important, like your family and the free times to go out and do what you want to do. And maybe you're in a job you don't have passion. So this podcast is to show you and how to teach you how to go out and get rid of all that. Live the life of freedom. And that's what we're all about. That's why we call it Flip to Freedom. And you can find out more about me at flip2freedom.com. Now, how are you going to gain this freedom? Well, it's basically 3 steps. Number 1, you go out and get your first check by flipping properties using no cash, no credit, and no experience. Now, why do we do that? Is because it is the least barrier of entry for someone. You don't have to have great credit. You don't have to have a ton of money to go out and buy properties. And it's as simple as finding motivated sellers or whatever, or even HUD, and get a property under contract. That means where you contract a property for a price. Let's call it $50,000. Then you market it to a cash buyer for, say, $60,000. Well, you can make the difference in between. The cash buyer will fund 100% of the cost, $60,000, of which $10,000 would go to you and $50,000 would go to the seller. You can find these motivated sellers anywhere. They could be probate, they could be inheritance, they could be HUD, they could be code violations, they could be absentee investors, they could be free and clear properties. I could go on and on and on. The bottom line is they are out there. Now, the beautiful thing about it is you can do as many of these deals as you want on a monthly basis, depending how much time you have. But deals can be $5,000 deals. I close deals that I make $2,500. I close deals that I make $30,000, $40,000, or even more than that. So that's step 1, to go out and get your first check. Step 2 is to replace your income. If you make $50,000 a year, the goal is to get $50,000 of cash in the bank as fast as humanly possible. Okay, so then you have the option to quit your job. Now, the third step is to build cash flow to where you have enough cash flow from real estate coming in that you do not have to work at all. Meaning, if your monthly overhead nut, okay, your monthly bills are $5,000 a month, then you'll have $5,000 a month of cash flow coming in. Now, think about that. Think about that day where you have your cash flow real estate that covers your monthly bills. Wouldn't that be great? And that is the freedom that you can have through real estate. So that's what this podcast is about. I've got 68 different episodes, now 69, including this one, that teach every aspect of exactly how to do it. Now, I can tell you in this particular episode, we have a special guest that I have hunted down that's going to share something very important with you because of this. Because it's funny, if you go to the Flip to Freedom website at flip2freedom.com, I give away a free book, and the free book is a 29-page book on how to go out and quit your job in 19 weeks or less by getting your first check and replacing your income. That's what it's all about. I've had people tell me they spent well over $1,000 for the same information that I give away for free. Now, if you want to get that, you can go to flip2freedom.com and you can get that. Now, you put your email address in there and I will send you a special link. Now, on this special link is a page where you can download your book for free, but then there's like 50 million comments, and I ask a question in there, and the question is, what's your biggest frustration? Now, I find that frustration for people are all different types of things. Well, I'll be finding sellers or talking to buyers or whatever it might be, or just the understanding of how this works. Then the second question is, what would be the solution to solve that problem, that frustration? And it's amazing that 99% of the responses from the people, and you can see when you hit that page, is that they believe that the number one solution would be to have a personal coach, someone to call, someone to hold their hand through the process. So now, I have personal coaching inside the Flip to Freedom Academy. I do that, but I have been so stinking busy. I can't take people on. I've got a handful of people I work with right now, and it's very time consuming because you're answering a lot of questions and deals and looking at deals. So I'm very selective of who I can work with, but I have a whole list of people that want to sign up for coaching. I haven't had time to call them back. So if you're one of them, I do apologize. I will be coming out with something here shortly. But until then, I wanted to find someone who was highly qualified in the coaching arena that also deals with real estate, almost like a life coach / mentor. And I met this gentleman in Las Vegas. His name's Cory Boatwright, and he talked about what he has done in his coaching, his personal coaching, and I was literally astonished. I was like, oh my gosh, I have got to have you on this call. And I have lined him up. He's extremely busy, but he is going to share not only his story, but how he works with students and how a coach can really make an impact in your business and in your life. What accountability means, what results, what personality tests mean, what books he has you to read, what type of rituals he has in his business, and how he relates that to coaching. It's absolutely a phenomenal interview. It's long, but we go in through a ton of information that I know you will love. So before we get right into Cory, I always like to do this, I like to recognize people that actually went to iTunes and submitted their information, submitted their reviews. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to basically talk about a couple people, and one of them here is from Bob Warburton, and I can't remember. Let me see if I did that one last time. Let me see the dates here. 9th. So this would be the 15th. Yeah, I think I hit Bob up on that one. So thank you, Bob. Because that one is on the 15th and you submitted that. Oh, on the 20th. So no, I did not. Okay. Bob Warburton basically said it's a 5-star review, and this is in iTunes. People went into iTunes, found the podcast, and submitted a review. And I want to thank you so much for doing that because it helps in the rankings. So he says, anyways, hey Sean, this podcast for real estate investing is excellent. I really like 59, where you discuss how to attract money and the laws of attraction. I plan on listening to every couple weeks to help me stay motivated. I recommend this episode for everyone who is looking to improve their life, regardless if you're in real estate or not. Thanks, Bob. Yes, that was a very important episode about the law of attraction, because we all know there's the how-to, but there's also the other side, the personal and what you do. And that's why when we talk to Cory, he's going to talk about that other side of the coin, but you have to have a discipline and someone you can have that accountability to. The next one is from Justin Tarr. Justin, what's up? He's from Boston, and 24-year-old. He says, and you got that Boston thing going, he goes, wicked pissa. Very funny. He says, I have to tell you, Sean, you are absolutely inspired. Wait a minute. You have absolutely inspired me to pursue a career in real estate investing. I never thought it could be possible for someone like me to get into real estate business. I'm 24-year-old union carpenter from Boston, and I'm not the best at saving money and don't have the best credit. But I feel like listening to your podcast, so your strategies are going forth and striving to be as successful and putting in the work, I will be able to one day have the lifestyle that I always dreamt of. Keep up the good work. I look forward to all of your podcasts and hope to be a part of your Flip to Freedom Academy soon. Thanks, Justin from Boston. Justin, thank you so much. Yes, you do. You can do this. Irregardless of what you think. I don't care if you're a union worker. I don't care your background. I don't care, if you're born with a silver spoon or not. I was not. I grew up in Vermont, of all places, where there was very little opportunity. My dad made no more than $45,000 a year his entire life. But you know what? For my life, I was told that you can't have this because of money. You can't have that because of money. You can't have this because of money. And it gives you a drive to go out and to get rid of the money game, to basically get that money game out of the way so you can pretty much do whatever you want to do, because there were so many limiting things I couldn't do as a kid because I didn't have money. So I didn't come from that background, but it gave me that drive and that passion to go out and achieve more. The next one is from Jeremy. Now, I've been tweeting Jeremy back and forth. He has a 2-hour commute in the morning and a 2-hour commute in the afternoon. So he has actually found my podcast and picked it up. And Jeremy, thank you so much for actually finding a way to leave a review. That's what it says, 5 stars. It's so good. I had to learn how to give a review in iTunes. Very funny. Sean has so much knowledge in the real estate investing that it oozes out of every episode. He knows about fix and flip. He knows about buy and holding. Wife is a realtor. And he uses all this knowledge to help people to become better wholesalers. I clicked on 10 different real estate investing podcasts before finding this one, and don't think I stayed on any of the others longer than 5 minutes. This one, though, has become my go-to podcast for my 2-hour daily commute. Thanks, Sean. Keep them coming. Well, Justin, thanks so much for doing that, for submitting that, and finding a way to do it. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, now enough of the jibber jabber. I have wasted your time enough with housekeeping. Now it's time to get in with Cory Boatwright. He's a phenomenal gentleman. He is one of the leading experts when it comes to coaching people in the real estate investing arena, and where it comes from life coach, and it comes from also real estate investing on how to structure your business, and also in the internet as well. So I'm very honored to have him here. I'm excited for you to share this interview. We go through a ton of information, and I know after you're done with this, you'll really know if you want to coach or not, whether it be Cory or any other coach in your life that can help you get to the next level. So enough of me. Let's get into the interview with Cory Boatwright right now. All right. Well, I've got the Mr. Cory Boatwright on the line with us here, and I'm super excited to have him here. He's been traveling all over the world, and I finally nailed him down to share exclusively on coaching. And it's amazing that when I have people hit the flip2freedom.com website and they fill out the information, one of the questions I ask them, Cory, is what is your biggest frustration? Now, everybody has different frustrations, and I ask him and the second question is, what's the biggest solution that could solve that frustration? And by far, 99.9% of the responses is having a personal one-on-one coach. So we're going to kind of get into coaching, and you are the absolute best person that I know on the planet right now when it comes to real estate coaching that can share the perspective from a coach's standpoint on exactly how to work with students. So how you been?
Man, I am doing phenomenal, bro. Thanks. How are you?
Rocking and rolling, man. It's a great time to be in real estate, and it's a great time to be in real estate information. So it's a phenomenal time to be cranking in this business right now. So Cory, so let's get into who you are and what your story is. Everybody has a story. Everyone comes from different parts of the world, and how everything just kind of develops together, and then you land up where you are. So how'd you kind of get into real estate first off, and then we'll kind of talk more about the coaching side of it.
Sure. Well, thank you again, man, for having me on here, Sean. I really appreciate it. I love what you're doing with your students. It's awesome. It shows. You have such a great following and a loyal tribe, and it's just an honor to be here sharing this information with you. I know it is important, and I definitely my goal here is just to share enough information to really open up a new spot in someone's mind about the idea of, if you have had a coach before, you know how important it is and how much more you can move further in your career with real estate or really anything, even a life coach. But if you haven't, then I really encourage you to listen up, because the results that you can have from it can really take you to another level. It can hyper jump you in your success towards real estate or really anything.
Absolutely.
So again, thanks. I appreciate for having me on here.
Thank you for joining us. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, so a little bit about my story. I'll be brief here. My name again is Cory Boatwright. Welcome to everyone that's on here. I appreciate some time with you today. I am doing several things in my life right now, and one of those is doing real estate coaching and also really life coaching. It didn't always used to be that way, though. So about 11 years now, I've been real estate investing, and I bought my first house. That would let you know about, I think it was around 23, 24 years old. So that puts me at, 35 now?
Right.
Time goes by.
I know it does, doesn't it?
It goes by. And the last 5 or 6 of those years, I've been focusing primarily in short sales, Sean.
Uh-huh.
And I've really had the opportunity to do extraordinarily well in that particular niche, that market. But I didn't start in short sales. I started just being a bird dog and just flipping houses. Like most investors that I know today, I assign properties over. I've done just about everything you can imagine in the real estate field. I've done real estate investing, from selling houses on eBay. I've done lease option purchases. I've had a rehab crew before, Sean.
Wow.
I have sold mobile homes and still actually do that. Kind of interesting story about that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the cash cow that most people don't talk about, just extraordinary cash on cash. I've done lots and lots of short sales to the neighborhood of over 300. I've also done over 500 with students. We have a loss mitigation company now that negotiates short sales all around the country. I do high-end coaching, and I call it high-end coaching because it's one-on-one access to work with me. And we also have our group coaching, which is phenomenal as well, just kind of a different dynamic there. And it really comes down to a customized version of where someone is in their life. I can tell you this, that I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I know you've read that book before. Many of your listeners have as well. And it had a quote in there. It said by Robert Kiyosaki that said 9 out of 10 businesses fail. 9 out of 10 businesses fail. And I got really excited about that, Sean. I knew that all I had to do, man, was just start 10 businesses, and one of them was going to succeed.
Right.
Right? I mean, do you ever feel that way? Or it's just like you just got to get through the muck, and then you know that on the other side, there's a lot of freedom and success and things waiting for you. And that was really my mindset. I've started actually over 40 different businesses, Sean, since I'm 17 years of age. 40 different businesses, and only 2 of them succeeded. One of them was an internet marketing company that I dealt in high-end audio luxury items, and I sold that business. I grew it up to over $4 million, and I sold it. Okay, so that was one of the successful ones. The other one is real estate investing, where I actually have a business now where I buy and sell. I still do that today. Have a brokerage here in Oklahoma, in Edmond, Oklahoma, which is where I live, greater OKC area. We have a brokerage, and we buy and sell properties. And I tell you what, Sean, I don't know when we're going to look at them. I don't talk to buyers. I don't talk to sellers. I don't talk to banks any longer. I've set that up where it's on true autopilot, or what's called a level 3 business for those that have read the book Maui Millionaires. So that's a very cool way to do business, and that allows me the opportunities to be able to travel, as you mentioned. I just got back from an amazing trip in Europe for over a month. We went to Venice and Florence. Ivy and I, we went to Cicatere, which was just amazing little town on the island, on these little mountain, little towns that you can kind of hike to, about 2 miles apart from each other. Just the most beautiful thing on a postcard you can imagine.
Right.
Went to Paris. Just before that, went to Asia for a while. Went to Hong Kong, spent a month over there. Went to Bangkok. My girlfriend and I, Ivy, we actually rode baby elephants and fed tigers. We climbed the Great Wall in Beijing. Just had some really fantastic times and really maximizing life. And what my new motto is bring the war, seize the day. And we'll talk about that just a little bit later. But it's very important that you seize the day. Let me just be quite just real frank with you here. You only have one life, man. That's it. This is what you got. This is your shot. Okay?
Yep.
And I know many people that bitch and moan, if you wouldn't mind, this pardon the French here, but they complain about things going on in their life, and they don't take any action to make any difference. And I've seen people that said, I have no money. They literally have down to the last $100 in their bank account, and they find a way to make it happen. If you want something enough, Sean, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I'll throw it out there.
Yep.
If you want something enough, can't you just find a way to make that thing happen?
Yeah, no matter what. And it's, if you have that burning desire, I always say, I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps. In the Marine Corps, if there's an obstacle in the way, you've got a couple different choices. You could go over it, you could go around it, you could go, under it, or my favor is just to blow through it. And I've kind of taken that mentality when it comes to real estate. Now, Cory, we just talked about a lot of things. You're a serial entrepreneur. You started a lot of business. Now, there's people right now that are listening in their car, right, at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning. They had to wake up early. They had to go, and they're going to a job, right? And they are in their car commuting, listening to this right now, or they're commuting home, or they're at the gym. But they're in the state of mind right now, not starting 40 businesses, or not traveling around the world, or going to France, or having this lavish lifestyle. They're in a position right now where they want to be able to quit their job, get out of the rat race, be done with the corporate America grind, and they're in their car. So let's take back to where you were before the ambition came. What gave you that spark to from where these guys are coming from, and I was coming from, and in a situation where there seemed like there was no out, and a lot of people listening right now is they have a great job. They're making $70,000 to $100,000 a year. They have a couple kids. They have a house. They have responsibility.
Sure.
How do you break out? Because you've got this track that you've been on, and it's so ingrained into the ground right now that to jump off the track would kind of rattle the boat, and you have your wife that would freak out and go home like, holy cow, you don't want to risk anything, or life is good, but you're just not happy. What do we do with these, people that are in that situation? I know I was in that situation, and kind of take back to where you were when you were making that shift of deciding to start your first business. What brought you to that point? Was it the frustration that said, I've got to do something different?
Sure, man. Basically, I worked a kind of 9-to-5 corporate job for almost 5 years. It was
so you were there. You felt it. You know what it's like.
And I got up in the morning early. I stayed late. I tried to impress the boss. Actually, I had many meetings with the boss, and I wanted to move up. I started in customer service position. I moved up to a manager, and then moved up in the sales position. And in December, I remember, I had my job that was taken from me. I was making $60,000 a year, and this is an affinity-based company, which they gave a percentage of the money that came in back to a nonprofit organization of your choice. And I remember in December, I worked there for 5 years. I had given a lot of my life. I felt like that at that time. A lot of drive, a lot of energy to move up the ladder. And they brought in basically some guys from Wall Street and a couple other businesses, and they came in and they wanted to restructure this company. Kind of a smaller company, grew big, and they needed some other, quote, expert help to come in. They restructured the company, and these guys came in and just fired people. And I was one of them that they let go. And I remember in December, Christmas is coming up. I had friends I was buying gifts for. I had a party that I was throwing, and I lost my job. and I didn't know what I was going to do, man. I did not know what I was going to do. And
yeah, it's kind of a, when you, and especially when you think that you're going to be there for a certain amount of time, and all of a sudden you get the shocking news that, holy cow, you got to pack your stuff up and you got to go. Right. It's kind of a shocker. And now, two people, you can go two different ways. You could struggle to go find another job in a similar situation and even downgrade your income just because you got to have the job, or you can get that fire in your gut saying, I don't want it. I don't ever want that to happen again, and I want to have a little bit more control of your life. So which way did you go at that time?
Man, I realized that I was just a number. That is the cold, hard truth.
Yeah.
I realized I was just a number. No one really cared much about me, no matter how much effort. Just the month before, I had the top sales in the company, had a plaque given to me. It just didn't matter. When it came down to it, it was longevity, seniority, how long someone's been at the business. And I was there kind of the one of the least amount. No matter what I was doing, they let me go. And I had a friend that was doing very well on the internet.
Okay.
And I started to have conversations with him, and he told me that, you know what, you should really look at starting, some internet companies, because the ability to leverage is so powerful. You can create an empire, if you will, online, and it doesn't take a lot of money because there's not a lot of overhead.
Right.
And it started making a lot of sense to me. And I'll fast forward a little bit. So after I got cut, after I lost my job, I did have 1 month severance pay. So I had, 30 days.
1 month to go find something.
Yeah, 30 days, man, to go find something to hustle, right?
Right.
I wasn't just a big, lavish spender. I had some money saved. So I actually had a little bit of a
cushion.
Of a buffer, cushion, yeah, for just a couple months. But basically, man, I just turned it on. I started business after business. I got involved with 3 businesses at one time. I was doing multi-level marketing. Mm-hmm. I was selling Ginsu knives on eBay. Sold over 10,000 Ginsu knives.
On eBay?
On eBay, brother.
Holy cow.
I used to sell them for 1 cent. I used to start out for 1 cent. So when people buy them for 1 cent and they might have someone bid up to 5 cents or something, I would make my money during shipping. So they would have to pay for, $9.99 in shipping or $7.99 in shipping. And so I was actually, my cost on those Ginsu knives were like $2.50 or something like that.
Right.
So I was making, quite a bit of money just on the shipping. But that was pretty funny.
That is funny.
I bought a semi full of electronics that were broken. All right? I mean, they were broken. 70% of them were broken. 30% were okay. I bought this semi truck full for about $5,000, okay? I had a crew of friends. This is later on in the story, but I had a crew of friends that were living with me as roommates. They were all paying me to live in rooms. I actually even rented out my couch. I mean, this was definitely the glory days of bachelorhood. So I mean, I had a lot of money coming in on my rent from just my roommates.
Selling knives.
Yeah, and selling knives. And I tell you, the garage was just full of
junk,
man. So I had one guy that was taking pictures, another guy that was uploading up on eBay, another guy that was doing the shipping. We had like a little business going, but I tell you what, man, that is a rough business, and I just didn't have any passion for it. After a while, I didn't matter what came in, a VCR, a CD player, the coolest thing in the world. You just got sick and tired of that business. It was so frustrating because you had so much stuff come in, and it was a big hassle. So that was another thing I did. I did day trading for almost 7 months. And what's funny, I kept a little log of my day trading, my trades, my software, how much money you had to have at that time. I think was, you could go on the, you could get a margin call, but you don't want to do that. You could go, and leverage 3 times the amount of money that I was buying options. And I was shorting options. And some days, I'd make like $800 to $1,200. Some days I get squeezed for $600 or $700. So I kept a log, an Excel spreadsheet for this 7 months or so that I was doing day trading. At the very end of this process, do you know how much money I made?
You probably broke even.
I broke even. I barely broke even. And these are some days where I made like $2,100.
Yeah.
Oh, but some people just don't keep track of their losses too, right?
Right.
And so I just realized really quickly the day trading business was not something that I was going to be in right now. I think later on it could have been something, but right then it was just really stressful. I had to get up early in the morning. I read, Nielsen's candlesticks. I was always reading about stocks. Anyway, so that was another phase, and there's many other.
So you were ambitious, but you were lost. You were lost.
It's not focused at all.
And I was exact same thing. I even day traded stocks, and I read the candle charts and the Fibonacci, movements and the 50% retracements and the Elliott waves, and trying to figure out what the heck is trying to, and then did commodities and then options, and it just becomes. And it's amazing because you never can beat the market. I don't care how brilliant the candlestick charts are and the stupid movements.
Right, man. Yeah, it's fickle.
Crazy.
It's a fickle time, and the market's fickle. There's not a lot of control that you have. I know some people that trade with other people's money and they still make a little bit. But at the end of the day, you really got to leverage a lot, and the risk is pretty high. It's not something I felt like was going to be something that's going to be passionate about anyway. So it's kind of going through these chapters of my life.
Yep.
Lo and behold, I started a business for audio video. And you remember those plasma TVs that came out when they were like $20,000?
Yes.
When they first came out. You remember that? The big ones, the 50-inch ones?
Yep, those huge ones.
I was one of the first guys that was selling those plasma TVs online and on eBay. And I found out very quickly that I could have access to all of this really expensive equipment and not have to ship it. They would do drop shipping for me.
Huh.
So, this is going to be a great lead into a coach. So I had a guy that I told you in the beginning that really gave me a lot of encouragement and insight on internet marketing and internet business, and really watched him. I watched what he did. I really picked his brain on how to do certain things, and he gave me a lot of coaching support. Okay, one-on-one coaching support. And lo and behold, he sold his internet business, Sean, for $7 million.
Wow.
$7 million, what he sold his internet business for.
Wow.
Now, it's one thing to hear about that, okay, in the magazines, like we all do.
Right.
Like Groupon was just offered $4 billion to sell, those things. It's only a 2-year-old company. Like, one of these things to hear about it, but what if you knew the president of Groupon? It's a different story because you actually saw it start and you actually saw it how it ended and how he sold it. And that was some of the process. I had just had the great opportunity to be coached by an amazing person. His name was Bobby. And he really just gave me a lot of direction on where to go and how to do it. And I took those concepts and I took that direction. I put it to heart. And, one of the things that I find for coaching students that are successful and the ones that aren't successful is the ones that are successful, Sean, they do full immersion and they work smart. They actually get into the process where they take it serious.
Right.
And the ones that aren't successful, they just look at it like another book or another, course, real estate course or life course or whatever it is, personal development. They just look at it like another one that sits on their shelf, and they may or may not make the group calls. They may or may not participate, and you can tell the ones that are really successful. It matters to them. They put
vested
into it. Yeah.
All right, so now let's take you into the real estate, right?
Sure.
And so you sold your business that did well, and now and then what was your introduction into real estate?
Sure. So with real estate, it's really funny. That audio video business that I sold, I grew it to over $4 million in my bedroom. It was really amazing, all the things that were happening. When I ended up selling it, I was actually working with the U.S. government and doing they were doing auctions together, and we're doing bids from the U.S. government. It was pretty cool.
Wow.
So one of the customers, obviously not everybody can afford these high-end electronics, right? So one of the customers his name was John Castanides. He owned all the Gristedes grocery stores in New York. And he and I talked, and he actually he gave me a lot of really good information about kind of his success story and what he's done to really take it to the next level. And he talked about how real estate had really changed the way he was able to do business in a big way, and actually changed the way he was able to structure his life, because it was such a profitable venture, but you had to know how to do it correctly.
Right.
And, quite frankly, at that time, Sean, I mean, I didn't even graduate from high school, man. I got my GED, okay?
Wow.
Even though I made my first $1 million when I was 25 years old, okay, I still was like very, very like just ambitious and just kind of lost, and I did not take education that important when I was very, very young.
Right.
And so I kind of thought with my mindset, like, this real estate thing is for people that have, went to Harvard, they went to Yale, they went to Stanford. You had to have these big degrees. You had to be an attorney. Literally, my mindset was you had to have all of this backing behind you and labels behind you and titles behind you in order to be able to handle this, right?
Yeah, actually, it was funny because if I look back at my perspective of real estate, I thought you had to have cash and credit, which I didn't have either of. So I thought I was just completely out of the game when it came to, to actually being able to participate in the real estate market. So. Yeah,
and it's true too. I figured out later that you didn't have to have any cash or credit for sure, but that was one of the things I believed as well. But back to this, these guys that I'm dealing with here, my customers, my high affluent customers in this business. I had conversations with them, and 90% of the time they would tell me that real estate was what it was that took their life to the next level. It was what really gave them wealth. It's what gave them opportunity. And so I basically just made a commitment. I said, I'm going to do nothing but immerse myself into learning about real estate. I'm going to find somebody that's local that knows, that I feel like is an expert, so I can kind of tag along with them, ask questions, basically get a mentor and get a coach.
Right.
And then I'm also going to learn everything I can from, reading and just doing full immersion. And that's what I did. I literally took 1 full year, okay, and did nothing but listen to audio video courses on real estate and personal development in my car for 1 full year. And I didn't listen to any music. It was actually 1 year and a day. And it was a big accomplishment because I'm a musician, okay? And so not listening to music was definitely a big sacrifice. But it made more sense to me that I wanted to change my life. You know what I mean? I really felt like God gave me a lot of opportunities, gave me some things to really consider and be diligent with, and I wanted to change my life. I was sick and tired of working for somebody else. I was sick and tired of just barely making ends meet. I was sick and tired of starting this little business that might make $3,000 or $5,000, Sean, and that was about it, or maybe $10,000. I was sick and tired of having to work so hard that I felt like real estate was going to give me this opportunity that I can really see some big leverage.
Yeah, and it's amazing. The similarities in our stories, even though I didn't start an internet business and I was just a mess, but I didn't go to college either. But when it came to in the car, when it came to I am such an information junkie, meaning I'll read books like crazy. I'll listen to any audio, watch videos, do whatever I can. If I want to learn about a particular subject, I will. My wife tells me, she's like, you go in a zone because you're just sucking in information, as much information as I can about that, and then immediately apply action to it to go out and test the results for myself, and then kind of formulate my own strategies when it comes to that particular area. So it's amazing to hear you say that, because you're in your car, you were listening, you're reading, you're doing whatever you can do to be able to gather information. So that's good to hear that. So now you picked the real estate, right? You picked real estate. You said you wanted to do it. And tell me about your first transaction.
My first deal, man. I mean, I remember actually my first deal from each kind of one of the niches. But my very first real estate deal I bought with one of my best friends. It was a duplex. He lived in one side of it, and I lived in the other side of it.
Is this in Oklahoma?
This is in Oklahoma. Yep.
Okay.
And I think we spent around $30,000 on it. Okay, around there. And
so you bought it, you took possession, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all I did, I bought it on, that was the glory days. I bought it on, I actually did have some good credit at that time. So that was the time when Wells Fargo and
everybody was lending,
America,
right?
everyone would give you like 10 properties to your name.
Yeah.
So we got our first one, and needed some sweat equity. So we were going to do all the work, right? And that's what I learned I did not want to do. I actually put in tile in that property. I helped with like some of the minor plumbing. I did painting. I did all of this kind of work, and I just realized after it's all said and done,
you don't like doing that.
Oh my gosh, that I wasn't focused on my strengths. In other words, it would be one thing if you're in there and you're having a great time painting the walls, or you're having a good time setting the tile right in the kitchen, or doing these little things. But for me, it was just like a waste of time. I really felt like my time could be used better off at other places.
Right.
And nonetheless, I learned what I didn't want to do. And sure enough, actually, I even broke this faucet, and it caused a massive big leak in the house, and it cost me more money. If I would have just paid a guy to come in,
do it right,
it would have been less money. It actually cost me almost $1,000 more because I attempted to do that myself. But sometimes, you just got to jump in there.
Well, hey, you know what? You gotta learn. Yeah, you gotta learn how to do it. One thing about the Marine Corps is you have to start off as a private, and in a private, guess what? You're shoveling dirt. That's just the way it is. You're in the trenches. You're doing the stuff. So once you get to a certain point, when you're a corporal or whatever, then you have the ability to instruct and guide the PFCs and privates that are below you, I guess, in those ranks. So you got some good education. Did you make money on the deal, or did you?
Yeah, we actually lived there for almost 2 years, or maybe 3 years, and then we resold that property, and we made almost double what we paid for it.
Wow. That's pretty good.
So that was really good. And it really gave me some good insight in terms of, wow, here's the days where I was selling a plasma TV, and, I might have made $1,000 or $1,500, and I just sold one house and made $30,000.
Right.
And
so that made a big difference in
your
thinking when it came to moving bigger products, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it made a huge difference. And then I realized soon after that I didn't have to use my own credit or money. So then I was just putting properties under contract, and I was assigning the contract and making $5,000, sometimes $10,000 just from getting there before everyone else.
Yep.
Putting it under contract, clouding the title, so that way they couldn't get out from underneath of me, right? Putting something on counting, clouding the title so they can't sell the property without me having a release, and then assigning that contract over. Man, I tell you what, that was a big eye opener for me as well. Okay, but then
so you started doing a bunch of those deals. So and then that progressed, and then obviously the market went bananas. The market went crazy, and then now you saw the opportunity. And you're one. It's amazing because I think if I remember. And this is way before, obviously I ever, knew, anything. But I remember seeing you were like one of the first ones that pioneered the whole short sale process.
Right in the beginning, yeah.
Right in the beginning. How did you have the vision to do that? I mean, that's pretty, brilliant, actually.
Well, I mean, basically,
I'm not that smart to be able to, you saw the writing on the wall and you position yourself, very well to be able to capitalize on it. So go ahead.
That's a false belief, Sean. You're smarter. So, yeah, I mean, basically, I went through this kind of evolutionary period of real estate investing. So I went from assignments to I did some lease options. I learned about that. I actually sold the same house 7 times over again. I made enough money on the option consideration money, the down payment that they put to pay off the house, Sean. I sold it 7 times. I actually treated it almost like the used car business. I actually owned a car lot at one time too. So anyway, I'm telling you the short story of different things. But here, let me take you through the evolutionary of the real estate. So I had a rehab crew. I made a little money there. And then I realized that, wow, I can fix these properties up and I can make, maybe $15,000, $20,000 in my market here in Oklahoma,
right.
Maybe $25,000. Usually what happened is that my $25,000 turned into like a $15,000 because it was hard to find a foreman that wasn't drunk on Saturday.
Right.
So for those that are doing rehabs, you probably know what I'm talking about. But what happened is that I stumbled my way upon my first short sale. And what happened is a lady called me. I was doing some advertising. We buy houses in the newspaper. She called me up and said, hey, I've got a house. I want you to come take a look at it. And I knew what the area was. It was a pretty decent little area. And she said, come out. It needs some repair. And I said, okay, before I come out, what do you owe on it? She said, well, it was around $200,000. I said, what is it worth? And she said, well, it's around about $190 or $200. And I told her, I said, now keep in mind, Sean, this is about 6 or 7 years ago, okay?
Right.
So I told her, I said, well, here's the thing. I mean, you owe pretty much what it's worth, and so it really doesn't. I'm an investor, so I'm looking to make a profit or resell it or have some
good equity, something,
position. And she said, well, I talked to the bank, and they just said find somebody to come out and make an offer on it. And this was the first time I've ever heard anything like that.
Right.
I actually questioned her. I said, you're kidding me. And she said, no, they said they just come out and make an offer. So I went out, I looked at the property. It was a great little area, needed a lot of work on it, and I literally made an embarrassing offer, Sean. I made an offer for like $110,000 on this property, okay?
Wow.
It was an embarrassing offer for this little neighborhood, for the amount of land that you're getting, almost 2 acres. It was a big, huge house, almost 2,600 to 2,700 square feet, big house. And I made an embarrassing offer. And I remember telling her that, this is best I can do. Here's all the work it needs. She said, I understand. She calls me back a few days later. She says, hey, Cory, I want you to hold for a second. I've got the bank on the phone with me.
You're probably going, I don't want to talk to the bank.
And I was like, you're kidding me. She said, no. So she 3-ways me in on this call. And the first thing that this person says is, hello, is this Cory in loss mitigation department? And I said, well, yes, it is.
Sounds good.
And it's funny, man. To this day, that's how I came up with that title, loss mitigation manager. But because anybody can have a loss mitigation department in your company, by the way. Really? So that really was a eye opener for me. But I said, yeah, this is Cory. She said, well, we talked to, I don't know her name. Let's just call her Mrs. Jones for now. We talked to Mrs. Jones, and she said that you're interested in the property, but you made an offer that's quite a bit lower than what's owed on it. She said, we can't take your 110 offer, but we can take 115.
You're like, boom, done.
And I was trying not to act all excited, but I was literally freaking out because I knew I was going to make a lot of money on this property.
Right.
And I just couldn't believe that the bank was willing to take less than what was owed.
Right.
It was just a whole new eye-opener for me, Sean. So I told her that, well, maybe I can jump up, maybe I can get that. I need to go out there and take a look at it again. Sure enough, I went out there. We rewrote the offer. That was the very first short sale I've ever completed. Then it got to the place where you had to send in the information, right? The homeowner information, the contracts. I messed up everything that you can possibly imagine messing up. I had to fax things 5 times. It went to the wrong department. I didn't know what to say to them, what not to say, which was more important. But at the end of the day, after stumbling my way through it, I made the most money I've ever made on a single transaction from doing real estate. And it was over $35,000 on one single transaction. And it was on a property that had more owed on it than what it was worth.
Right.
And I got to tell you, it made me just get excited because here it is. I found out how many more of these. I was asking myself.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere.
How many more of these properties? So what is the challenge? Well, people pay more than what the house is worth. Well, okay, I'm seeing a lot of people do that. Well, is it going to end anytime soon? Well, people are spending more than what they have. Well, no, it's not going to end anytime soon.
Right.
And it was just one of those times where you get in at the bottom, and it was just up. I mean, it was just nothing but blue sky from there.
So let's talk. So that was your first deal. Then it kind of progressed. So let's talk about your current business model.
Sure.
So you've rode that up. Now it's funny because there's different people listening to this. There's the people that are just finding this, just listening to it, and they don't even understand what wholesaling is or flipping properties is and stuff. And if you are listening, I got 69 or 68 different episodes you can listen to on strategies of flipping houses. And then there's actually a group of people that that understand it, that are doing a deal or two or three, and they're kind of in that position where they haven't really taken it to the next level, meaning that they're doing okay, they're making maybe $5,000 to $7,000 to $10,000 a month flipping these houses, but they haven't really gone where they make $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month. In that point in your business, what made you, or what happened in your business to basically take it to that next level?
Focus. At that point, I had to change around all of the shiny objects that were around me. As an entrepreneur, man, I mean, there's so many things right now. There's no shortage of opportunity. You can go over here to make money. You can go over here. Your friend's inviting you to some meeting for MLM to make money. Some guy's sending you something in the email that says you can make money. How many real estate gurus are there out there telling you to make money on this and that? And for me, I had to say, I have to focus. If I put all my effort into one area, or at least most of it into one area, how much more could I get accomplished? And I read this book that's called The Power of Focus. I recommend you go out and get it. It's by LeWitt, I believe. DeWitt or LeWitt is the last name.
Okay.
And it basically said that think about a magnifying glass on the road, and when you were a kid, you used to burn ants.
Yep.
And you just put that magnifying glass in the right way, and it would just torch that ant, right?
Yep.
And now think about why that was the case. It was because you positioned something that was laser focused in one area, and you got an intense result, right? You got this intensity that just burned. It was so powerful that it can literally burn something up because it was so much passion and effort you put into that one thing.
Right.
To the sun's much, much more powerful, obviously, than you'd think all the ants would be burning up, but it's not the case. Right, and that's my kind of rebuttal to everyone saying, well, if everybody if this was a good thing and everybody be making money from this, everybody would be doing it. Right, it's not the case.
Right.
Many people do not know the power of focus, and quite frankly, I did not either. I was bought into this idea that with multiple streams of income. Right, that was the big sell. You had multiple streams of income. And don't get me wrong, now I do have some multiple streams of income. But there's a time in your life, and listen very closely, because this is really a powerful thing that changed a lot of things in my life. There's a time in your life where when you say no will actually have a more powerful effect than you saying yes to everything. And that was a big one for me because I felt like I could do everything. I felt like I could accomplish what I wanted to. I could go here, make money, go here, make money. I was an ambitious kid. But it wasn't until I said no to a few things and said yes to the best things and got focused on them that things changed in a massive way.
Okay, so this guy, right? And I'm talking about the guy right now that's flipping one or two deals.
Yes.
He may still have a job, but he cannot. He's trying to break through, and he's going, I've got to have the month where I make 30,000-40,000 in that month, and he just goes over the top. What would you tell that guy to break through? Because there's focus, right? But now, I mean, the guy's got a job, he has his family, he's got his kids and stuff like that, and he's doing some marketing and stuff, and he's getting some buyers and sellers, and what would you kind of tell that guy to break out of it so he could go full time and just take it to the next level?
I have this process that I do with my coaching students that's called the 3 M's for success.
Okay.
And the first M is mindset. Okay. And many of us struggle with bad thoughts that are in our head, limiting thoughts, false beliefs, a lot of things that just hold us back from really everything that you can ever dream of happening is possible and waiting for you. You've got to break through that. And the second M is mechanics. Mechanics are the things that are the processes, the 1, 2, 3, this is how you do it, the standard operating procedure. Many of us fly by the seat of our pants. And guess what? Some of us are really good at it. But the challenge with that is that you're not able to scale. And you're not able to build something that lasts. Okay, so you're a flash in the pan.
Gotcha.
From my experience. And then the last one is money. And money seems to be the thing that everyone focuses on first because they think when they have that, that's going to solve other challenges. And I've known people in my life that the more money you give them, actually the worse off that they get if you don't have a right mindset and you don't have the mechanics. If you look online right now, you study people that have won the lottery in the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
And there's history of this, that some of them have spent that money and blown it in a year or less. And some of them even state in there that they wish that never happened to them. And let me tell you something. If you have the correct mindset, if you have a healthy mindset, you would not be saying that, right? And so money is a very powerful tool that pretty much people live their life and die for, right? They live and die for money. They work themselves to death so they can make more money because they can put more food on the table and support their family, right?
Right.
And I got to tell you that if you look at mindset as the most important and then get your mechanics and then look at money, money will actually come looking for you, okay?
Okay, so let's talk about mindset. So for a mindset, let's talk about where does a mindset have to be? Tell us what a successful mindset looks like.
Sure. A successful mindset understands that you've got to spend time with yourself at least a couple of hours or more a week. Just you. Really getting clear on what it is that you want to do, what you're really good at, what you're passionate about. All right? And you're very clear on what it is you want to get accomplished for the day and why you want to do it. Okay? So you have a premise and then you have a purpose. And then you have a strategy on how to get there. So that mindset is, I can do it. I am capable of getting this done. There's no such thing as problems anymore. There's only challenges.
Okay, so let's look at your life and how do you take time? What's your rituals that you do in your life right now to take that time?
In the morning, you have a daily ritual. So I get up, I drink 1 liter of water immediately, right when I get out of bed. In fact, I actually have a refrigerator right in my room so I can have an inevitability factor. I get up, I drink water immediately. Then I come in and I do some light exercise. Okay, so I do some jumping jacks or some push-ups or something like that to get my energy going, to get my blood flowing, so I'm not in this mindset of like, oh, I just want to sleep and continue to sleep and waste the day away.
Right.
Then I start having some affirmations. I actually say them out loud. I say, I want to seize the day. I want to bring the war. I want to attack things that are challenges for me. This is going to be an exciting day today. There is opportunities that are abound. I'm going to do my best to follow what I feel like God's telling me to do in my life. And I want to help people today. I want to have an opportunity. So I spend time with prayer. I do some affirmation. And then what I do is I do some light reading, right? So sometimes that could be in the Bible, sometimes that can be in Success Magazine, sometimes that can be, the 4-Hour Work Week, whatever, just some book that I can do a little bit of light reading in. And it isn't until around, 9 or 10 or so that I actually get on my computer and start looking at emails. And it's because that is a tool, okay? Some people, they're a slave to their email.
Yep.
You don't want to be a slave to their email. You want to use that as a tool, just like your cell phone, too. Another thing, a cell phone for many people is a slave. You can turn that cell phone on and off. You tell it when you can pick up and when you can't. And when you have the mindset that you're in that you're in that mode that you're creating those opportunities and those things are happening, you don't look at that cell phone keeping you hostage any longer. You have the mindset now that you take those calls when you want to, and you know how to be productive.
Now, very, very, very good point. Very well said. And it's amazing because I do amazingly similar things in my life, and when my life sucks, as I get off the discipline of the rituals. And see, people are listening to this right now, and they're going, well, can it make that much of a difference? And it's amazing because that little shift, waking up a little bit early, especially if you have to get up, you have to go to work, and you have to take a shower, you have to get in the car, you have to go commute, but taking the time to wake up a half hour, even 45 minutes earlier, and spending that focused time with yourself and God and praying and doing those things and really focusing on, and then feeding your mind with good thoughts instead of people wake up and they flip on Fox News and watch TV, and then they go, this person killed and Occupy Wall Street and this and all this stuff going on. And then it just starts your day in a negative way, to where, these little shifts are something that's not, oh my God, earth-shaking, but they are, oh my God, earth-shaking, because these little shifts can make a massive amount of difference in your success. Okay, so let's talk now. That was really good. Let's talk about mechanics.
Sure. So mechanics for me was a big one because one of my strengths is not organization typically. So I've taken this thing called the Cory test, and anybody can go take that test. All of my students have taken that test.
What's it called? I've never heard of it.
It's called a Cory test, KOLBE.com. And what that does is it's a personality test, but also does more than that. It shows you what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. And it's the test called the A-Index Cory test. It's about $50, well worth the investment. And what I found was I was doing everything myself. Because I told myself I just needed to save money. I didn't need to worry about hiring someone or depending on somebody. Really, it was more about depending on them. I didn't think that they were going to get the job done. And I was doing everything myself. And I found that, another thing is that one of my biggest strengths was creation and ideation and, creating processes and helping others in marketing and communicating and inspiring and encouraging and discipline. I just found out all these different things that were my strengths, and I found out some things that were my weakness. And so one thing that I had to break, and this is a hard one, man. This is maybe one of the most difficult. The mindset is big, okay? It's huge. But once you kind of start doing the mindset stuff and you start changing the way you think and, you start seeing results, you're looking at different things differently, you have different perspectives. Okay, you can do that. Mechanics is you letting go of control.
See, that's a tough one for me because I'm a control freak and I know how I want things done, and I think that's been a struggle, for me to be able to let go of a certain portions of the business and how things are operated. So this is interesting.
Let me tell you that I had the same thoughts. I had the same mindset. And let me tell you again, Sean, that's a false belief.
Yep. You
can correct that belief just like anyone else can, okay? Like I have done that. I have corrected that belief. I used to think that, if I delegate this, it's not going to get done. Here's the issue. Here's what I've learned so far, that whenever I let go of control, I get more of it. And the reason is because everything is not, I'm not in charge of every single thing. So when I get in the car, do I go in, do I check the oil, do I check the tires, do I look underneath the car, do I, make sure the spark plugs are okay,
No, you hop in the car and you trust that it's going to function correctly, and if it doesn't, you get mad.
Out the car, trust is going to start and it goes, right?
Yep.
And you just get to point A to point B, okay? So what do you do though? As the driver of that car, you are looking at dashboards, aren't you? You're making sure your gas is okay, your oil's okay, you're making sure the battery's okay, right? And you're looking at things. That is a great analogy for how you need to set up a healthy business mechanic. Okay? You need to have dashboards set up in your business. So when you get in, per se, right, and you start your day and things are going, you don't have to go and knock on every single door of the house that the person you're going to go buy their house from. You can have somebody that's working with you, and you're cutting them in on a little bit of the action, and they're going, and they have better time in the morning to go knock on that door. Okay?
Right.
And then you have them report to you about what happened for that day. Right? And they send a little email to you, or there's other tools that we can talk about later that are really helpful for setting up dashboards in your life. But basically the concept is you have to set up a dashboard life so you can see the big controllers for you, the things that you know that you need to kind of keep your eye on, so you're not going to totally let your life go or anything.
Right.
You're getting in the car, you're turning the ignition on, and you're going from point A to point B. And this is the biggest one. This was the biggest one for me, letting go of control. But I encourage you that once you do, and once you know how to do it, and that's one of the things that we spend a lot of time with my students on coaching, is really a way to let go of that so you actually can get more accomplished. Every single one of them, every single one has got more accomplished after we've done coaching when they were the person that was doing everything. And every single one of them also said that they didn't have the money. They felt like they did not have the money to get good help, to find people to do things for them. And that comes down to specialized knowledge. And I can show my students exactly where to go to find, use technology tools and to leverage people at such an inexpensive dollar amount that it would be embarrassing to tell you. But it gives you back time. And that's the issue, Sean. If it gives you back, what's an extra 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week of your time that you can give to your family or give to something else, your friends or your wife? What is that worth to you? And that's a big one. That is a big one.
Okay, so how have you applied mechanics in your current business? Like, give us like a broad scope of your business and how you have applied it to your business right now.
Perfect example. I was doing these short sales on these manila folders. I mean, literally, I was going in, I was writing the address on each one. I had all these notes and sticky notes everywhere, okay?
Right.
I was just doing the same thing over and over again. I was taking every single phone call that came in for somebody that wants to sell their house. I felt like if I didn't answer the phone, I might miss that $15,000 or $20,000 sale, okay? What happened is that when I put this kind of mechanic, the 3 M's of success kind of concept on this, and I applied it, I found that I could create a software that would do a lot of the things that I was doing in a manila folder, but just do it much better, and so I could scale. So I created a software that was called Short Sale Builder, and this thing blew up. We had over 5,000 users paying $97 a month, and some of them paid $2,000 to get started. Now,
wow.
Do the math on that, Sean. That was some big money.
Right, absolutely.
But that came from getting sick and tired of me doing everything and allowing a technology or allowing a mechanic process to come in, and so I can leverage it. So we created a software. Then for when my when I was taking these phone calls, I found out that there were answering services that you could create scripts that basically were asking the same exact questions that I was, Sean, every single time, yet I didn't have to, at 7 o'clock at night, take away from my girlfriend and dinner
right,
to answer the phone. Right?
So it was a process you put in place, part of your mechanics, to be able to put that in there, and then people could leave a message with the information that you were asking for.
That's right. And so now when those calls come in, I don't even see them. They go straight to my realtor, my managing agent. And so he goes and follows up because I spent time with him on how I like to buy properties. And now he even makes offers on properties for me, Sean. When I was in Italy, he made 5 offers on properties.
And now, obviously, he has an invested interest because he's getting a commission off it, right?
Absolutely. You got to sweeten the pie. There's this mindset that we want to keep everything for ourselves and give the scraps away. You got to change that. You want to share in the profits. Now, why would you want to do that? Because once you do, everyone that is in a part of your team is engaged, right? They're excited about making even more money. Because guess what? It benefits them. So it's not just, I get my little piece of the pie, here's yours. You want to engage your team and help give them some profit from it so they all are excited about doing better work for you.
Yeah, and they're all focused on accomplishing the same goal, which is acquisition, flip, and turnaround, and getting the deal done. And get it to closing day, so because that's when everybody gets paid. Okay, so that's a very great example of mechanics and implementing a dashboard in your system. Okay, so now let's talk about coaching, because coaching, and we've got to see your mindset, we've got to see, your rituals and how you apply mechanics in your business, which is incredibly important. Now you've got a guy, and he's out there.
Sean, don't forget, Sean, real quick, is the money. That's the
I think if you have money's obviously. If you have the mindset and the mechanics, the money will come, won't it?
That's right. You got it. That's right. Yeah, I wanted to tell you that I made more money, which is the third M, and it's in that order for a reason. I've made more money. I've had the opportunity, and God's blessed me with more money than I ever have experienced in all my other 38 businesses put together. Just because I've had the opportunity to focus and apply those 3 M's success.
Wow. Okay, so now from someone who says, okay, listen, I want full immersion in a real estate. I've read the books. I'm excited about it. I want to change my mindset. I want to be able to set up a business with mechanics and dashboards, and I want that money to come. I know you do personal coaching, and obviously not with everybody because it's impossible to do. And also you have a coaching program. Now I want to address one thing first, because there is, and we're talking about mindset, and I'm glad you actually brought that up, which I've heard a lot, is that, okay, Cory, you've got a great mindset, you've got a great, mechanics, and you've got obviously a ton of money. Why don't you work with me for free, and then we'll split the first deal? How do you handle that? Because there are people out there going and say, hey, Cory, you should just work with me for free, and guess what? I'll go out and do stuff, and you coach me through it, and we'll split the deal together.
I'm not going to give the way I handle that, and I get that asked all the time, for sure. Yeah. I'm sure you do as well. And the way I handle that is I'm not going to do a disservice to you like that. And here's what I mean, is that if there's not a sacrifice involved, if there's not something that you feel a little bit of pain involved from going through that process where it's a sacrifice, you're not going to take it serious. How much more serious are you going to take it if you spend a little bit of money that actually is like, wow, that's I'm making that investment. I really could use it other places, but I'm trusting and making this investment in myself and my education and whoever I'm working with in the coaching. That is going to help you stay accountable. That is going to make you think more diligently and clearly about the lessons and about how to do things, and you're going to just take it serious. So, if it's no free ride, involved in life. Many things that have the greatest reward in life also have a little bit of sacrifice involved. You agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that, and I look at the point to where, that would be great if you go, okay, we can just work with everybody. But the bottom line is that let's say we said, you and I, we said, okay, we'll just work with people for free and let's just split deals. But the bottom line is that there's, I'm taking time away from my 9-year-old daughter, and my 13-year-old daughter, and my wife. This is the most important things in my life. I'm taking away time from free time to answer a question on, does this deal work? And it's a $100,000 house and they owe $150,000. Can I make money off this thing? So I'm taking time from the most precious things in my life, which is my family, and free time, and that time to spend that alone time, to focus and have the mindset to work with you, or of this person, this coaching student, for free, and to ask that sacrifice from someone, I think is crazy, for the fact that is that we want, obviously, someone that is committed to the program, that's going to work for it, and is going to to be able to show the seriousness to be able to do that. But obviously, everyone's time is valuable to a certain point. I could be spending that time with my family, or I could be spending it going out and doing my own marketing, talking to my own sellers, doing my own deals and making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a deal, instead of sharing it in someone else and trying to walk them through the process. So it is a fine line to be able to do that. And I know, the most successful people like a Robert Kiyosaki or a Donald Trump or anybody who has, a significant amount of success, obviously they would be in a position, to be able to charge for their knowledge. Because think about all the things in your business that you screwed up, that you messed up, that you went through. You said it. I went over and over and over, and I blew it 100 times, and then you figured it out. And you figured out a process. You figured out a system. Well, that's that's priceless information that can be used to go out and become successful. So now we got that objection out of the way. So let's talk about, actually your coaching and your coaching process, because, coaching is very important. We haven't talked about it on any episodes we've ever done. It is the most requested thing of any of the listeners, the people that download, is coaching. What can coaching do for someone? Now, obviously, it's going to cost and it's going to be painful. But what is the result that this person can get from, say, coaching with you?
Well, basically, there are a couple of approaches that you got to look at for someone that is making a decision they want to be coached. First off, it's not you just buy in, and at least not in my program. It's not where you buy in and you're okay just because you have a little bit of money. You have to apply to be able to see if you're a good fit for the program.
Right.
And I will tell you that there has been many people that we have turned down, and it isn't because we're bad people. It's because really at the end of the day, you need to be at a place where you're going to be able to take this serious. And some people, quite frankly, if you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and I know that money is tight, there's not a time really where you're going to say it's just, there's not a sacrifice involved. Anytime that you're going to take some money and invest it, you're going to have to think about it and put some diligence to it. But, at the end of the day, if you can't eat for the month, I don't want you to use that money that you would spend on your food for coaching, okay?
Right.
You've got to be at a place where, it makes some sense, and we go through that together. And there's a couple of different kinds of coaching. There is coaching, and then there's also mentoring. Okay, so we have a coaching program, which is our REI Success Curriculum, that we have some fantastic, just some A1 incredible real estate investors, also coaches that will take you from point A to point B. In fact, your very first conversation on the phone will be a strategy that for this next year, you can make an extra $120,000 for not doing a lot of different things in your life right now, even if you're working a full-time job. If you can give me 4 hours a week, that's it, 4 hours a week of dedicated time, I can show you how to revolutionize the way that you're doing things right now. And that's with our REI Success Program. We have some different levels there that we got to see kind of which one that you're prepared for. And then we have mentoring. And mentoring is really different to me than coaching, because coaching is kind of like, here's how you do it now. Here's a plan. Here's a blueprint on how to do it and strategies. And it's more about business, I find. It is some about mindset too, but it is a lot about business and strategies and setting up your business correctly and using some technology tools to leverage and, bring in more leads, that kind of thing.
Right.
But mentoring really takes it to another level. That's where you have my undivided focus time. And that's where we spend time going through your mind on where you are. We read a book a week. You have accountability with that. There's some specific books that are very, very important that I find that just change the way that most entrepreneurs, real estate investors, business owners. It's really funny. I have one of my students is an attorney, and I always joke with him that I didn't even graduate from high school, and yet I have the opportunity. He's paying me for coaching mentoring as an attorney. How funny is that?
That is funny.
We could joke around like that because at the end of the day, he understands the value of mentoring. And when you go through life, you go through some big challenges. Let me take just a moment here to just get to another level of realness with you. I'll just be more transparent. I've been through some very rough times in my life. Although I'm very excited about the opportunities that God's given me right now, and I feel like I'm just really living in the best times of my life. I'm thankful for it. I'm aware of it. I'm very thankful. I have been through a divorce in my life, and I've got to a place where I felt like I wasn't worth anything. No one was going to care about me. I was not going to find any happiness, certainly not be with any other woman that would value me. I didn't value myself. I really had a bleak view on life. I really did. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you right now that that's a lie. That's a lie, man, from the pit of hell. You are the most valuable person. The fact that you're breathing and that you can pick up things just with your hands, a glass. You take for all these things granted, that you can walk around, for those that having no challenge with their feet, or they can exercise, or they can do these things we take for granted. You can go down to the store and get food on any corner. Let me just tell you that our worst day, the worst day in your life here in the United States, is someone else's paradise in Liberia or another third world country. And
I agree.
There's a point, man, where you just get perspective. And man, God had to just pick me up, man. I mean, there's times where I was just being carried. I really was just being carried. And that's a tough time. Anybody that's ever been through emotional roller coaster like that, a divorce or anything that's kind of emotional, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But you don't have to stay there, man. Your greatest days are right in front of you. There's a great book you should go buy. It's called 3 Feet from Gold. And many people, Sean, the ones that I find that just have the potential, but they just didn't push it, are the ones that gave up 3 feet from gold.
I haven't read that book yet, but I've read Think and Grow Rich about 1,000 times, it seems like. And in that Think and Grow Rich, there's that story about the 3 feet from gold. Does that kind of elaborate on that?
Absolutely. It's just elaboration of that story as a whole, basically, in the whole book. It's a great book. And and so I'm just being real. I'm just being transparent here
Well, the thing is, and I try to tell people, life isn't, especially for us. I mean, for me, for you, for anybody out there, everything, you just don't. Oh my gosh, I find real estate, and oh my gosh, and life is successful, and everything's great, and the world's awesome, and people go through ups and downs, and the thing is that if you have a solid mindset, and if you have a belief pattern, so you have a belief pattern, and I do, obviously believe in God, and that grounds you and centers you to a certain point, meaning that there's a trust factor and a hope factor, I guess. And what happens is there will be tough times, but how you handle and rise above those tough times, is what really builds a character in a person. And I bet, you would say today that you're a better person today going through that than you were prior, because of that challenge you went through.
Yes, it because of that challenge, because of those kind of valley times I had in my life, it produced some of the greatest perspective, greatest perseverance, greatest ability for me to be able to overcome and really get clear with where I'm going, what I'm doing, and why I want to do it. Another thing that we do in the mentoring and coaching process is we go through a very in-depth 4 or 5 day period of training where you spend a lot of time on these 12 areas of your life that are the most important. I won't go into all of them, but they're like future parenting, business, money, your emotional life, your intelligent life. There's these different categories in your life that you've got to get really clear on. We go through and we discover a premise or a belief. So, example, if we're talking about your intelligent life, we go through and we find out what does intelligent life mean to you. What is your belief about intelligent life? Do you want to read a book a month, a book a year? Why, what's important about intelligent life to you? Do you want to go through courses? And then we go through and we discuss the ideal. So if you had the ideal intelligent life, right, that with your vision, right, your ideal intelligent life, what would that look like to you? Kind of come up with that kind of vision of what that would look like to you. And that's very personal because that's something you're coming up with out of your head. And then the third question is a purpose. Right? So why do you want that particular version of that intelligent life for you? Why that version? Why those specific things that you came up with? And then, Sean, the last one is a strategy. What do we need to do right now to take 1 or 2 steps to actually take you towards your ideal intelligent life? And imagine doing this for a period of 4 to 5 days just lockdown mode where you're focusing on you and you're focusing on how you can better serve others by getting in touch with your strengths and why you're doing things and how to do them, Sean. Very powerful.
Well, very powerful because, it's that, that saying is, most people will spend more time planning when they're going to happy hour or birthday party or Christmas than they will actually planning your life. So to be able to be put in a situation to where now they're doing an inventory of every aspect of their life and to be able to find, pretty much create and design a blueprint of what they would like your life to look like. And, if you never sit down and really, sit and design, I know we're doing a renovation on our house right now, and we had to my wife actually drop all the plans and the blueprints and all the type of stuff, and she loves doing that of what it's going to look like, and then you go through the process. But if you never really take that time for your life to be able to design that of what you want your life to be, then obviously you'll never get there. If she never had the vision or the design to be able to create it, we would have never got to an end result of completion. But everybody wants to have the success. Everybody, they want to be be successful, but it does take someone like a coach to be able to call them on the carpet and say, okay, here, why do you want that? And going through a process. And then it sounds like from your program, at the end of this, week or whatever, a person will have a blueprint probably that they never knew they thought they could have, a week prior, right? And now it becomes implementation to go out and create a strategy, like you said, to go out and accomplish that blueprint in the fastest time given with the amount of time someone has to commit.
Man, and it's absolutely true, and it's more than just a blueprint; it's a life print.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about your coaching, and that's one thing we can get you on track. I can give you some very solid strategy, some great tools. I will walk you through. We'll have our best team working with you direct on getting your real estate business to the next level. You talk about mentoring and actually getting into mindset and life and strategy and personal development and a lot of those things that kind of work together. It's another level. It is more sacrifice obviously involved, but the reward is
astonishing.
Pretty incredible. Yeah.
Now, tell me. I think you were and actually for everybody listening, I actually met Cory in Las Vegas at an event, a real estate event that was out there. We had a chance to talk, which was phenomenal. But he was telling me about one of his students that actually, in some of the success that they had, actually going through your process. Can you elaborate on that deal that guy did?
I love to brag on my students. So one of my students started out, and he just had a real estate business. He was an appraiser, and he wasn't very excited about it. And he came to me and said, "Man, I see that you're doing on the internet, and you're doing things with real estate." He goes, "Man, that internet stuff really excites me, and I see you're really doing it. You're making a living with it. I see a lot of money coming in." He goes, because he's one of my friends too, and he goes, "Man, I want you to coach me. And I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to be teachable." He just had his first kid, newly married, and he's just like, "Man, I'm ready to learn. I know that this internet stuff is something I want to be a part of." He goes, "But I don't know a clue to do it. I don't have a business online. All I know is real estate." So I took him on as a coaching student, and we started talking. And do you know that he didn't really care about real estate once we got into it? That was just something that kind of made him money. What he was passionate about was golf. He loved to golf. I mean, he's been golfing since he's like 5 and was good, right? And he loved it, right? That was his passion. He knew some pros. He knew all this stuff. So we started talking about that. And lo and behold, we decided that we could create a product online for golfers. And I won't bore you with all the details, but basically he did a lot of coaching with me, and 2 years later, he's now doing over $3 million a year.
Online. From a passion he didn't know about prior to exploring probably these 12 areas of his life. Amazing.
It's really amazing. One of my other students that I've been working with for quite a while now, he had just bought and sold his first house from being over in another country, and he made over $15,000 on it. And he wasn't even in the same country.
So he was traveling in a different country, and he's still
traveling in another country and doing deals.
That's awesome.
He also overcame one of his fears and he jumped out of an airplane. He did skydiving. Mm-hmm. And he realized he wanted to do that after we went through some of the life coaching together. He overcame some fears. He wanted to experience life on another level, and that for him was a big way to do that. I've also skydived, and it does help you overcome your fears. The synapses in your brains tells yourself that you can overcome death, which changes your perspective that you have on life in general for any challenge.
Right.
So it was a very powerful thing. Another one of my students right now, he's been working in part with his family and just the way his mindset's changed. He just sold one of his commercial properties and made $1 million profit, Sean.
Holy cow.
I'm talking about, some very powerful breakthroughs. And you're not too far from it, believe it or not. I mean, once you get these tools, it's much easier. Many people walk around trying to roof the house with a hammer, Sean, and they might be effective to some degree, but it takes so long. And if you just had the nail gun, you'd get things done so much faster. You'd have more energy for you to give to your family, your life, and others. And it's really one of the best way to serve others is to focus on yourself and understand where your strengths and weaknesses are and get coaching.
Yeah, and I think, for someone, he probably, before actually meeting you, didn't believe that he could actually probably contract a deal of that size. So it takes, to a certain point, because, you don't think you can do a deal that size because you don't believe that you have what it takes to make it happen or the wherewithal or whatever. But then, you go through a coaching process, you gain confidence, and you have someone to lean on, and then when an opportunity presents itself, because opportunity comes, and then we do a couple different things with the opportunity. We start going, well, what if I can't do it? What if I can't sell it? What if it doesn't work? What if I'm not good enough? What if I look like a fool? And it comes back to mindset again, and we go, we have that mindset. But if you have someone that you can lean on that basically jars you out of that habitual mindset and says, no, you can do it. You can contract it. You can sell it. Have some faith. Let's do it. Let's move forward. And you seize that opportunity where before you wouldn't, now you do. Well, then you can turn around and turn profits like $1 million profit that, that a lot of people would shy away from because they don't believe they have what it takes to make it happen.
Yeah. So it's super powerful whenever you can unlock some of those keys that you have right there. You just got to figure out which door to put them in.
Yeah.
And it can change your life. It really can. It can make a huge difference where you go from, barely surviving and doing things the hard way to doing things the smart way and actually having more time on your hands you know what to do with.
Right. Okay, so we've been well over an hour. So how would if someone says, hey, I like Cory, I like his attitude, I like what he's accomplished, I like what he's done, I like his hands-on approach with someone. If someone wanted to go, and obviously you don't take everybody, of course, because you're only one person, but if they wanted to go to apply to find out more information about you, where would they go?
Sure. They can go to coachingservant.com. Coachingservant.com. SERVANT. Some people spell it with the ENT, but it's ANT. So coachingservant.com. And you can apply there. You got a little video of me kind of going through another really cool little story about how some people say they don't have any money right now whatsoever. And every single person that's listening right now, you might not even think you have an extra $100 or $1,000 or $3,000, but after watching that video, I will actually show you where you can come up with $10,000 today. Actually, you can come up with it today, and that's a very powerful kind of mindset thing we do on that. So they'll see that video, and then they have an opportunity to apply if they feel like it's a good fit.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I think you gave a perspective for someone who is really, they're in a position, they see the value in themselves to be able to invest in themselves, because coaching is an investment. It is significant, but the results are life-changing. So, and like you said right from the beginning, at the beginning of the call, you said, listen, everybody lives once. We have one shot, and you've heard that story is that the only thing difference between all of us is that dash, and the dash is from when we were born to when we're going to die, and what you do with that dash in the middle, because those are two time frames. Now, we don't know when we're going to die. It could be getting in the car, it could be tomorrow, it could be something crazy, but what we do with our dash is going to determine not only how our life, the quality of our life will be, but the legacy we leave, for our kids and grandkids. So, could we be a Steve Jobs. Now, Steve Jobs is brilliant, but he has left such a legacy is because his expectation of people and of products is absolute greatness. And obviously, if we could be 1/10 of what Steve Jobs has created, but the way he lives his life has created a legacy. I don't want to be the guy who's going to, was born and then didn't do anything and then all of a sudden passed away and then didn't leave any type of impact on this world whatsoever. If we can change, you and I and each person can change, one person's world for the better. Well, what's the ripple effect that person could affect in their family, in their neighborhood, and in their, surroundings of circle of influence could be, astronomical. So, don't think, if you're listening to this, that you can't make an impact, because you can. You just got to believe that you can, and amazing things can happen. So,
absolutely.
So go to coachingservant.com. You can learn more about Cory. He is, like I said, one of the most well-respected personal coaches, one-on-one coaching / mentoring that you can find in the real estate industry today. And I know his program is second to none. It's absolutely phenomenal, and you will have life-altering results if you decide, or if he decides, to work with you. So, any last words, Cory, for our listeners?
Man, just that you're not alone. Biggest challenge I see with a lot of coaching students that they feel like they're the only one struggling with this, and it's not. That's not the case. I'd love to have an opportunity to see if you're, kind of a good fit right now for the program. And if you are, we can have some very powerful results together where it changes everything for you. The biggest challenge that you might have in your life is more time right now, or maybe it is you need a little extra money, $2,000 or $3,000 more each month. For some people that may not scratch the surface, maybe you need 10. The great thing is we customize the program to where you are, right? We put a blueprint together, and then we show you exactly how to get your results faster by working smarter. And again, I cannot reemphasize enough the 3 M's: the mindset, the mechanics, and the money. And we talk about that in depth, and that is one of the
basis. Yeah, that's the foundation for your program.
Nice little success formula, if you will, if you follow those things. So that's it.
Sounds good. And if they've always said that, listen, we all can find the same house, and we all do the same marketing, and we all have the same opportunity. It's all the same real estate market. And there are people in Oklahoma, there are people in California, Texas, Florida, or all over in Canada, whatever. There are people that are making an absolute fortune in the real estate market right now in this market. So it's not that real estate doesn't work. It's that the other side of the coin is that you, the person, have not figured out exactly how to make real estate work. And that's where I think coaching comes in, because you eliminate all the learning curve, and you can go straight to information. That learning curve, I know my learning curve has cost me tens of thousands of dollars of mistakes that I made doing the wrong things. And if you can eliminate that learning curve and go straight to a point of contact from someone successful, that's when coaching becomes an absolute priceless endeavor, to invest in. So, Cory, you have been a phenomenal guest. Sorry to keep you longer than we expected, but your information was astonishing, and I greatly appreciate it. And guys, go to coachingservant.com and find out more about Cory Boatwright and what he can do for you. And that is it for this episode. Cory, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. And remember, be a servant, like always, man. That's the best way to approach life. So,
it's a great way to end. Thank you so much.